Iran. What the heck just happened in Iran? What the heck just went down in the nation of Iran? My friends, Donald Trump was poised to attack Tuesday. He said we were locked and loaded. He assured the people of Iran that we were coming for them. But something happened. No strike occurred. And why was that? Why is it that there was no strike on Iran? Um, According to Donald Trump, he came out and he said that the Iranians had assured him that they would not hang the 800 protesters that they had captured. And indeed, apparently they have not. So is that the answer? Is that the full answer? Well, there's other sources that indicate that the military had told Donald Trump that there was no way to assure that indeed they would take out the Ayatollahs, the mullahs, with such an attack. And that furthermore, that we needed more assets to play before we struck Iran. And indeed, assets are still being moved in place. So maybe we haven't heard the last of it. But the people of Iran felt highly betrayed by what happened. The people of Iran uh, don't understand what went down. So, what was it? What was actually occurring? What really took place? Uh, we don't know just yet. But what we do know is that it could be true that he took that to heart. Also, a lot of the Arab nations in the area. Now, Iran is not an Arab nation, they're Persian. They are ethnically a different people, but they are Islamic, although they tend to go by the Shia faith instead of the Sunni faith. And there are Arab Sunnis, by the way, but Iran is the nexus of the Shia faith within Islam. But all that aside, a lot of the monarchies there and other governments within the region, they probably felt, and I do believe to them it was more, they had some fear of refugees, but for the most part, they were afraid that this would begin to undermine their faith or their legitimacy as a kingdom, their oligarchies, their governments would fail as Iran's might have been poised to fail. You might remember there were color revolutions all over the Arab world back in the days of Obama. And a color revolution was starting in Iran, and Obama nixed it for some reason, which is highly mysterious to a lot of people that didn't support that. Instead, he sent pallets of money to Iran. Really strange stuff. But I had kind of the impression that the powers that be wanted this conflict to brew and develop to lead us toward, the kind of things that were written about by Albert Pike, General Albert Pike, in his letter to in the alleged letter he sent to Mazzini Guespi, Mazzini Guespi, I'm getting my stuff confused here. It's late. But guys, the situation is that this the Iranians suffered mightily. It's been look, they were protests all over the place, but they did not take out the mullahs, even though they burnt a lot of government buildings, mosques. They did not break the power of the mullahs. And in fact, the military held rank. And when they were told to fire upon civilian crowds, they did so. They followed those orders. And unfortunately, and it's been estimated that, according to medical doctors, so the medical community in Iran are saying, or got the word out, that at least 16,000 lost their lives in these protests. There are numbers that range higher, 20,000. There's even reports that it may be as high as 50,000. We don't know. We may never know. Or if we do know, it will probably take some years. But the protest indeed didn't take down the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. They didn't take down the military. They didn't take down the mullahs. They didn't take down Ayatollah Khamenei. Now, he was apparently hiding in a bunker somewhere in northeastern Iran. according to reports. Now, what we do know is that it's reported that, as I said, that the military had advised Donald Trump that strikes, the kind of strikes that were planned, would not take out the Muslims. What was that? Well, they were going to hit military targets. They were going to hit, you know, missile bases and, the things like were hit in the 12-day war. Well, the 12-day war didn't take out the mullahs either. So, however, the mullahs have lost a lot of credibility, the street cred, the mythology that they could protect the people of Iran, the mythology that their role was to protect them against the West. And a lot of the people in the public were really banking on the West intervening, and we didn't. So they've lost faith in us too, probably. So the people in Iran are somewhat despondent at this point in time. The protests have allegedly stopped, according to some sources, but from what I'm hearing, they are still going on in certain areas in Iran to this day. That they continue. The sources vary. So we don't know the full extent of what's going on there because the internet's been blocked. The Starlink has been blocked. Now Iran has decided to permanently disconnect themselves from the internet, much like China. What we lose, hey, we got a super chat. All right, so we got hey Christopher, how you doing? Thank you so very much. Glad to hear from you in Houston. Yeah, that's going to help. That'll definitely help me. Appreciate it very much, Christopher Napier. So let's. I'm trying not to read into the chat until I get through my news-oriented discussion, and I'll go more into the chat. So the news is, but I will pay attention to super chat. So thank you very much. So the news. We can't trust the news media. They're all over the place. And the news media, when they talk about Trump, they sound like they and the Ayatollahs echo the same story. So I don't put faith in either one of them. If you put your faith in the mainstream news media, you're going to be following a bunch of hooey. Now, the possibility exists that Donald Trump is still going to strike. You can't rule it out. And maybe he's not made a decision, but the forces are still being put in play. We're still moving the aircraft carrier Lincoln. The whole Lincoln group is moving into position, and other troops are moving into position. There's also reported that there would have been big blowback, and even Netanyahu urged Donald Trump not to strike because he said that he hadn't got Israel ready for it. And a lot of people think that Trump is somewhat a puppet of Netanyahu. Maybe. I will not weigh in on that one way or the other, but he certainly catered to him a lot. Now, from the Israel standpoint, Israel has suddenly decided they don't want to take the big defense funding package from America this year that they've taken from the United States every year for a few decades. That's on order of something just shy of $4 billion defense package. Now, why is that? It may be because Donald Trump was tying a lot of strings to it, and maybe he didn't want those strings, and also because Israel has established quite an economy on their own right. So maybe they deem that they don't need it anymore, and it costs them too much, and their freedom to act however they like to act, which is very overtly military. And a lot of people aren't happy with that, and they aren't happy with our support for that. And I would submit that, the government of Israel, and the whole thing was set up by the Rothschilds. If you don't believe me, go back and look at the Balfour Agreements, and you look at the statements of Daniel Rothschild himself, bragging about how they set all that stuff up, and just look at the street names around the government buildings in Israel. All the government buildings were donated by none less than the Rothschild family. And if you think the Rothschild family was inspired by God, I would highly advise you to go do some digging. There's something fishy about that whole thing. So Yeah, and his son-in-law was Kushner. So, Donald Trump may have some ties in that area that are somewhat less than absolutely savory, maybe. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video tonight is just to kind of explore what happened, what went down, and where's it going. Now, if the Mulls stay in power, and if they're able to reconsolidate their power, which would be power by virtue of the barrel of a nug. If you don't know what nug is on my channel, you've not been watching me. Take that word and flip it around. I'm on a platform which has been very unfriendly to me, and certain terminology they don't like to hear on this platform. So I have to be very careful with what I say and how I put it out there. But I'm not trying to evoke violence. I never have. I'm not trying to instigate anything. That's never been my purpose. My purpose is to inform you so that you know and can understand what's going on in the world and prepare yourself for the things that may come. Now, where I was going with this is that if Iran fell, if the Ayatollah regime fell, it would be a big blow to China. The biggest threat to the United States right now on the global scheme, outside of Washington, D.C. itself, outside of the House of Klaus Schlauber, if you don't know who I'm talking about, the guy who headed previously the forum that Larry Fink now runs, which starts with World Economic and ends with that word I just used. I'm just trying to be careful what I say here. That, my friends, is another big threat to our freedoms. Unfortunately, it seems that they're making an alliance with China. They want a one world government. And maybe to them it'd be fine if China ran it, as long as they got to have their little piece of the action. Now, how that would all play out, we're talking deals among gangsters, hard to say. I don't think it would be favorable to anybody other than probably China in the end. But to reinforce, I got three things that reinforces that. Three. One is that David Rockefeller himself, who was a early instigator in all that globalism, world stuff that we're talking about here. David Rockefeller lauded China. He said, this is how the world should be run. He praised them. He liked their system of control over their people. Klaus Schlauber, which, that's my way I like to say his name, so I don't key certain algors out no rhythm. Schwab said the same thing. And now you look at Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, making big deals now with China. Big deals. That's very frightening. I should be frightening the people of faith in Canada. And it's definitely should be of great concern to people here in the United States. Because, the last thing we need is a major China influence in the middle of Canada. If Canada flips to China, that should highly concern everyone. But you got to remember where Carney comes from. I've already showed in the past how he was deeply, he was one of the lead bankers. He was, had the Bank of London. I've already showed you this guy is definitely the globalist ilk of the type that we should be concerned about. And if anybody isn't picking up on that, then you're not doing your research. Furthermore, a lot of us celebrated when the United Kingdom withdrew from the World Economic Forum. Well, unfortunately, because that seemed to break the trend of globalism, of Europe uniting into this one world predecessor, that part of the government. Turns out that Keir Starmer, though, is trying to come up with a digital ID. Basically, it's got all the trappings of the mark of the beast. And he's definitely of that globalist ilk. And that's who's running. Canada is Prime Minister of Canada, not Canada, United Kingdom. Pardon me for getting my crosses wired. It happens late at night. But I'm just trying to give you guys, aloha, baby girl. I'm just trying to give you guys a kind of a snapshot of what's happening in the global dynamic here. So I think the globalists want to see Iran stay in power because it serves China and it serves their overall agenda. They want there to be a big, ugly war. At least that is what we believe we saw out of the writings of Albert Pike, or what's alleged to be written by him. And I think that the report of that writing wasn't word for word because a lot of the words in it were words that came out after the era of Albert Pike. So, like his references to Nazism and a lot of some of the references. So I don't fully accept that that letter was 100% legitimate. However, the things that said that would come to pass after this letter was revealed have come to pass for the most part, pretty close. So I can't discount the spirit of that letter because it certainly rhymes with where we're at today. So there seems to be something to it. In any event, whatever that case is, be it or be it not, the world we're in today is highly dangerous. China is, I think, our biggest threat of all. Like I said, outside of the Beltway, but the big thing in the Beltway is the deep staters who are also a part of this picture. That our country has been infiltrated by people who want to see that globalist order rule the world. They want to take down nations. They don't want individual nations to exist. So there's two models for the future that some people have been pointing to of late. It is that globalism model, and it's what you call civilizationist states. Civilizationist states. Watch Steve Turley. He talks about a lot on his channel. A lot. Civilizationist states are where you have individual powerful countries that are looking after their own people, their own rights, their own futures without some big globalist regime running it all. And the civilizational states would be the powerful countries that would have spheres of influence. And a sphere of influence might be what you would find under the Don Roe doctrine of United States in the Western Hemisphere, China within their area, Russia within their area, and Europe within their area, and maybe some other places. But it's not a vision of globalism, not at all. So I think that's a better alternative than globalism. So there is plenty of things to be concerned about here. There's plenty of things to watch out for here. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest threats that we've got to face is threats to our freedoms, to our God-given rights. They're not the rights. The Bill of Rights was an attempt to enumerate just to protect some of our key God-given rights, our inalienable rights, and our founding fathers saw it that way. But of course, it's evolved over the years that the state that's kind of deep wants to take all these rights from you, and they're even challenging those. They try to interpret these things in such a way to diminish them because it doesn't serve the interest of those who want to control you. But Iran is a piece of this bigger picture. Iran, the whole thing in Iran, does not exist in isolation. Now, given that Venezuela is more under American control, not so much that we took Maduro out, but it's the government that's there is fearful of what we will do next, and also the fact that we basically have a place blockaded. Iran is, excuse me, Venezuela is essentially under an American blockade. We're controlling where the petroleum goes, and we're controlling Cuba. It's not going to Cuba like it was. They're still getting some from Mexico, but they're not getting any Venezuelan petroleum. Cuba may fall. And since Cuba also has a big Chinese base in it, that may serve our interests. It may serve the people in Cuba real well. If Cuba became a true republic again, it would be, would lift our sanctions and people could go there. It'd be a great tourist spot. Absolutely. They can make a killing in tourism. Cuba is a beautiful island. It has beautiful people. The people of Cuba are beautiful people. Um, I think people everywhere there's beauty in every group anywhere in the world, in all cultures. And to try to erase all the cultures for some globalist cookie cutter control regime is a crime against those cultures. And yet, that is why they promoted immigration the way they have, because they want to erase national identities, especially in the stronger Western nations. That's what was the source of all the immigration into Europe, which poses to eradicate the European world as we know it. It's the source of the immigration into this country. That's why they wanted it in big part. So, strike hit and Russia can have Europe. Yeah, Europe has really degraded. There's some good people in Europe, and some of them follow this channel. We get people coming in here from Europe all the time, and I feel for them, and I hope that they can find a way to restore their heritage. I hope they can find a way to not lose who they are as a people and reestablish themselves, because Europe stood against the onslaught of invaders for a long time, for many centuries. Uh, so they have a proud history there, but they suddenly just let it go. So Europe may be a lost cause, but Europe fundamentally doesn't really have anything to offer America. We have spent a lot of money and a lot of our own blood. A lot of our sons and daughters have went there to defend that land. We defended them in Western Europe in World War I, World War II, throughout the Cold War. We spent an enormous amount of our treasure defending Europe. And now there's the appearances of some conflict between the United States and NATO. I think that is kabuki theater. I'm going to do a special video on Greenland. But before I do that, I want y'all to watch the video I just put out earlier today. Because in reality, the video I put out today, where I was talking about this plan to destroy Russia and China without nukes, with conventional weapons that we already have in our inventory. That's a precursor video. That video, I did it to explain what I want to tell you about Greenland. That video is something you need to watch, but it is a precursor. But it was a video that is highly technical. There's a lot of details in it. I did stumble through it a little bit because it's just kind of hard to read through such a long report off of an internet website. I did download it as a PDF. I was hoping to highlight all the different things, and I guess my Adobe subscription has expired, and I hadn't paid for it because it costs a fair bit of money, and frankly, I'm not making much money here on YouTube. So doing things like that's kind of rough. If I had the Adobe file, I could have highlighted certain things, but I read through the thing, and then I went a trial run through it to try to pick out the high points from making a video. And I discovered in the course of making a video, I was taking too long to get through all that stuff, and so I just skimmed through it. But there are certain points I would have liked to add in more oomph to. So I actually put a link to the Masters of the Sky study in that video, so you can see it for yourself, and you can look up all those other things I was showing from Wikipedia and other sources for to buttress what I was talking about there. And that is a good standalone video in that it's something to be concerned about. But I do think it may well play into what's going on with Greenland. And so, again, that's a precursor. So I want y'all to watch that video if you hadn't seen it already, and share it. So, and I did have someone make a comment in that video. Says, I never saw an ad throughout the entire video. That video is listed as being monetized on YouTube. The previous video I did prior to that one got almost 20,000 views, but it earned very little, less than half of what it should have earned for a video getting that many views on my channel. And I think the reason for that is YouTube. YouTube does not appreciate what I put out. And that's why I appreciate super chats. When I'm live here using Zoom, I can't set it up I don't know how to set it up where I can get the AdSense running while I'm actually doing live. I can do it from my phone, but from the Zoom is a problem. So yeah, I think that this platform is raining against me. Now there are some people I've heard people come in here and tell me, "Okay, all you do is report what's on the news media." That is the furthest thing from the truth in the world. There is nothing in that video you're going to see on the news. And when I'm going to talk about Greenland video, I may show some news clips with conclusions, things I bring out about it. You're not going to hear that anywhere else but right here. Nobody else is talking about what I'm going to talk about. I don't know, maybe somebody will watch this and they'll get the hint and they might beat me at putting the video out, but they're not going to say what I'm going to say. It might get close. uh, do makeup tutorials. Oh, Lord, he's straight kidding. That is funny. That is hilarious. I don't wear any makeup at all. And I'm not a big fan of makeup, but I probably do a lot more. I can make more money doing that, definitely. Oh, Lord, that's hilarious. Anyway, I am watching the chat. I'm trying not to respond to the chat when I get through the main news for the people. For my coffee club watchers in the morning who drink coffee and watch me as they're getting ready for work or church in the morning. That's hilarious. So, alrighty, all that aside, one of the most hilarious comments I've seen in a while. Well, thank you for making me laugh. It's important to be able to laugh in the worst of times because you can lose your spirit, your soul, if you let all this grind on you too heavy. We're still alive. We're still blessed to have life. We're still blessed to have some freedoms. We're going to come into a hard time. Hard times are prophesied in our Bible. They're prophesied. It's going to get worse. I think we can mitigate a lot of that. I do believe that we can shape that, delay that, maybe shield America from it for some time. And I hope that's where Trump is leading us. He's rolled back a lot of the globalism tenets. He has just withdrew us from something like 66, a large number of UN organizations that we were funding, which were taking our funding and our membership in to do things that were against the interest of America. And that's one thing he did that I think is good. Now, I can't say I support everything Trump does. I tell you, put your faith in no man. I've mentioned that many times. None of us, for none, are perfect. Fazio, you don't need makeup. I think if I did a makeup channel, it would be pretty hideous. Ooh wee. Yeah, I draw a totally different crowd. Anyway, hilarious. So, uh, all right. So back to the main track here. The people of Iran have suffered horribly throughout the control of this regime and in the past week especially. But they don't want this regime running them. This regime that runs them today has lost a lot of cred with them, lost a lot of credibility. And so they may rule for a while, but it's going to be in a very tense state because the people aren't going to like it. See, that's the problem when you don't have the right to arm bears, if you know what I'm talking about. You can't carry your nugs and have kibbles to feed them. Kibbles are nug feed. And kibbles, they get real hot when you feed them to nugs, if you know what I mean. Uh, so this is what happens in a country where you don't have freedoms. It's very hard to throw off the yoke of tyranny. Very, very difficult. Not to say it can't be done, but the protests to date haven't done that. And strikes on military bases probably wouldn't have done that either. Now, if more firepower can be put in the region, it might be possible that Donald Trump could actually take the Mulls out. He might be able to take the Ayatollah out. He probably did not have sufficient firepower. And furthermore, it would have been difficult to do that without hurting people in the streets when there were millions of people in the streets. Now, there's not millions of people in the streets. That kind of operation might be more achievable without, harming people. Well, I've had people comment in here that, oh, well, so the Ayatollahs are going to wipe out X number of people, and then we're going to strike Iran and wipe out X number of people too. No, that's not what happened. And I don't think that was at all Donald Trump's intent. And there are those that claim that all Donald Trump does is shoot. All he does is go out and do things like that. But he just proved by not going into Iran when he did, when he thought he would, that's not really the case. So where is this going? It's hard to say with respect to Iran. We don't know if Donald Trump will act on Iran at this time or not. It doesn't mean that he wouldn't act on it later. He's already went in and bombed 3 nuclear facilities. Now, something else that to prove that I don't take my information from other channels, I'm the only YouTuber. I'm the only person, nobody in the media, nobody else on YouTube, nobody else on any platform I've ever seen anywhere explain to you why those centrifuges weren't taken out. I did. Why? Because I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist of sorts, rocket scientist. I understood what actually happened there. And I understood those centrifuges was full of uranium hexafluoride. And uranium hexafluoride is extremely toxic. The fluoride is, the uranium is. It would be radioactive. Where those sites were bombed directly over the craters, people went around wearing no protective gear and put up little barriers so you wouldn't fall in them, little that webbing, that orange webbing and things like it. You can see it from the photographs. You can see where people were running machinery, heavy machinery around there, like a day after the bombings. Had the centrifuges been in there, the hexafluoride, the uranium hexafluoride would have been so toxic that would not have been possible. Not at all. And that was my proof positive that the centrifuges weren't hit. They were moved. And that's where I disagreed with Donald Trump. Absolutely. Now the operation itself was brilliant in execution. Not saying it's something that should have been done, just talking about the way our military performed it. They did go in with F-35s and B-2 bombers, and they flew all the way through Iran undetected. None of them were hit. They did put their bombs right on target. The Tomahawk missiles put their bombs right on target. Absolutely, without error, without miss. The execution of the operation was amazing. Problem is that the Iranians had already moved the stuff that they were hoping to take out, for the most part, including most of that uranium. And that uranium could be available to Iran or maybe some other unsavory powers in the future. I do hope for the people of Iran that the Mullah regime does fall, and the people within Iran may find a way to do it. Now, one of the other things that Donald Trump was told is that there was nobody to take power in Iran, that there could be a civil war, that there was no clear ascension to someone else, even though the crown prince, Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, he is, trying to position himself to be able to take over the government and to hold elections. See, that's what he says he wants to do. He says he wants to return the country to being a representative government, a republic, democracy, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how that would play out there, but that's an outcome that we should hope for, and it would tend to be Western aligned. We would hope, especially with Pahlavi running it or starting it. But it may be harder for us to endure the people of Iran, given that we didn't spare their lives while they were protesting. That would have been hard to do, quite frankly. You got millions of people in the street. How do you execute a military campaign and spare their lives at the same time? That's easier said than done. So, will Iran fall? Well, their money is gone to nothing. They are The country is facing a severe drought. The economy is wrecked. The credibility of the Mueller regime is shot for the people. It's more shot than ever before. Um, so the people may still prevail, but it's going to take more than just protests in the streets. Will the United States aid them? Maybe. I don't know yet. Time will tell. We will see how this plays out. And right now, we don't know. We just frankly don't know yet. I do hope that the people there will find relief. I do hope people there will find some other recourse, that something will weigh in their favor. I feel for those people. My main professor in college was Iranian, Reza Adhami. At one time, now when I knew him, he was one of the top professors in electrical engineering at the University of Huntsville in Alabama. And there's several I took 2 courses from. He was the only one I actually took 3 classes from. Really smart, incredibly smart. And my main study buddy was Payman Arabshehi. He was also an Iranian. He was my main study buddy in college. He went on to earn a PhD. He's probably a professor somewhere now. I haven't kept up with him. But and I helped him out when he was in college. I offered him, let him come. He came to my home. We fed him dinner. And his parents were medical doctors, and they finally managed to get out of Iran while we were all still in college, and invited me and my wife at the time, my kids, over to their house, and fed us a really, really nice dinner. And they made sure to spice things with saffron, which is more expensive than gold. It's a spice more expensive than gold. So they really thought highly of the way we treated their son over there. So, and they showed their appreciation. There are good people from there, a lot of good people, smart people. There are a lot of good people and smart people there in Iran today. So I do feel for those people. I hope they find a way to attain freedom and throw off the yoke of tyranny. And I do hope that Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince, should he ascend to power, follows through with his pledge to hold elections. I think he would. I think he would. I think he's genuine in that. So, and I think he understands the eras of his father and the way his father ruled. But the people there, for all their complaints about his father, they definitely feel the Mulls are worse. And his father never turned on the public the way that the Mulls have. So, be it what it is. Now, we did kind of mess that place up because Iran did have a democratic style republic, whatever it was. They actually had a president, and our CIA went in and overthrew that president because he was leaning toward Russia, and put in the Shah in power. And the Shah, he wasn't a good ruler, quite frankly. And that's a lot of what led to Khomeini taking over Iran later. And Iran, under Khomeini, turned against the United States. A lot of the Iranian power has been nixed. Now, Iran probably still does have sleeper agents in the United States. There are a lot of people come across our southern border. But even prior to that, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps said back years ago that they had sleeper cells in the United States poised to take out 22 of our major substations. I've reported that. They are probably still here, maybe more. And maybe they're waiting for a trigger that they won't activate until such time as they feel that the regime is truly threatened by the United States. And so far, apparently, they've not quite crossed that threshold. It's like the trigger to turn those on is like a trigger to launch a nuclear weapon, because the impact of taking our grid down can be worse than nuclear war. I've done a whole video where I laid that out. Why grid down can be worse than nuclear war. A lot of people don't get that. And nobody else on YouTube talks about it in that term, except me. There's other videos and other channels. A lot of them are AI channels where they come on and talk about EMP. And there's other people that don't know jack diddle about it, telling you things that aren't even true. And their videos get 100 times the views mine do. So share my videos. I guess the reason mine don't is because I talk too much truth for this platform. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm telling you what it is. So that is what you guys need to know is we do have threats here in the United States. Now that video about Masters of the Sky report I put out talked about how we could take down Russia, China, and probably North Korea with conventional weapons that exist today without using nukes. That is, if the plan works. That's a mighty big if, because no plan survives first contact with the enemy. There's plenty of ways that can go wrong and could turn our country into a burnout cinder. So there's a lot at risk of a plan like that. But there are those that may be planning to use that plan for something like it. And that's why I also put out the reports on why, some of the U.S. generals were talking about taking Kaliningrad, Donahue, for example, talking about how we could take Kaliningrad lightning fast. And also reported that there were calls to take out Russia after Operation Spiderweb and the earthquake in the Kamchatka Peninsula. So there are things that could still happen in this world. There's a lot to be concerned about. There's a lot for us to pay attention to. There are huge reasons to be prepping, to have your bug out plans. A bug out plan is fraught with danger if you don't have a bug out location, a good bug out location. The idea you're all going to run out and live in the national parks, guys, you're going to be long pork if you do that, because everybody will be wanting to do the same thing and people will get real hungry real fast. That is not a good plan. If you want to bug out, have a bug out place. Bug in is generally a good thing. There are times when bugging in don't work. If you're in the middle of a big forest fire or a big flood, then you need a plan B. Definitely need a plan B. Now, to be mobile might have some advantages. Bug out vehicles are something to pay attention to. But in a grid down Mad Max world, you're going to be very careful. You need to lay your plans out very well for how you're going to do these things. And I got a lot of content on that in this channel. Unfortunately, if you go searching for it, it's very difficult to find because of all my news videos. So I'm thinking to start another channel just to focus on that. So you guys can get pure content on what to do in a grid down situation, about the threats of grid down and what to do if it hits. So I'm probably going to open a whole new channel that focuses on that alone. And, I've been advised to keep this as a news channel instead of my Silverhead News. I'm still debating that advice, though. I might return this channel to a gardening channel, to worms, to gardening. But, yeah, I'm still debating that. I may put the news on Silverhead News yet. So we'll have to see. Right now, I'm putting most of my political stuff on Swirlhead News. Some news, but I say the more political things for that channel. So check out Swirlhead News if you're interested in that. You already bugged out. I did. So there are a lot of YouTubers that talk. They yap. They talk and yap and yap, 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 yap. But guys, here's the truth. There's a few of us that live in our bug out locations, not many. I'd say Prepper Nurse One is one of them. Ed over Prepper Nurse One. Credits to him. Go watch his videos and tell him that Greg Allison sent you at Green Greg's. Say, Greg Allison from Green Greg sent me. You go watch him. He's a good guy. Really good guy. He used to have a location in upper state New York. But he decided that was not good enough. He decided there was risk in that. So he actually moved to another bug out location. He's a homesteader. He's in West Virginia now. West by God, Virginia. So I'll salute him for that. I have bugged out myself, and I am living in my bug out location. I do live off grid. I'm my own utility. I designed my own power system, my own solar power system. And I hope to do some content on that. It's really detailed content. It's going to take some time for me to produce that. And I probably will do some courses on how to do solar. I've done it. The power that lights this room that you're seeing, the power that runs my PC and my Starlink is all from my own utility, my own solar power that I designed. Rice, beans, corn. That's a good one. The three sisters are really squash, beans, and corn. And I've done some three sister gardening out here. And I'm going to double down, do some more work. He's dog poor now, Ed. Really? I wouldn't doubt it. It's tough. He's trying to make his living off YouTube, and it's getting exceedingly hard. And mainly because a lot of these AI channels, they're taking a lot of the content, a lot of the views. That's one thing. Plus, a lot of us are being stomped on here by the algorithms that have no rhythm, especially if you put out things that are true. That's why, I like to give a shout out to guys like him, support his channel, support my channel, because he lives it. Nate, a Canadian prepper, or prepper news, whatever you want to call it. He's got two channels now. He divided his channels. At least he has set up his own homestead. So I don't think he's living there full time yet. I could be wrong. He may have made there full time, but he does have a homestead. But he wasn't a traditional homesteader. He just finally the light went off and he saw it, and he saw that he needed to do that. So there are some channels out there that are homestead channels. Ed, what's his name? Stacy. Shouldn't get brain locked right now. They're homesteaders. Now, some homesteaders started their videos out as homestead videos. Wendy Hardnick, who comes on here, she's got her own homestead. Shout out to her. She don't get many views at all, but she's got a good channel. She's a good lady. Yeah, okay, the squash. Yeah, I grew a lot of squash and pumpkins. That's what I grew best out here. Especially spaghetti squash does really well out here. I'm going to redo how I do my garden. I plan to completely redo the beds, and I'll cover that when I do it. So the whole thing is you've got to pay a lot of attention to what's happening in the world, because it is an indicator of the kind of threats we all face. That's why I talk news. And so that, everybody wants to know what's the trigger events. When are things going to go down? How are they going to go down? And how can we avert it? And I do think, like as I said, that we have a lot of power to avert the impact of these things upon us. And that's why I started the Freedom Restoration Foundation. If you go to freedomrestorationfoundation.org, you'll see, you click on the Action Center page and scroll down past the alerts. I don't have a new webmaster for that website. I got to find somebody else to run it for me. All the alerts on there are a bit old. So we need to redo a lot of that stuff. But we were putting out a lot of alerts for a while. But if you go down to the bottom of that page, it tells you everything you need to know to contact your Congress critters and your state legislators. That's in there too. It tells you how to write letters, how to email, how to call them. It gives you contacts, information you need to be able to take action yourself for whatever you think needs to be done. And I have found through my own experiences that we can indeed dramatically affect legislation. I have had that experience in my life to have dramatically affected legislation. Laws have been passed. My name has been read into the congressional record by, I think, Senator Inouye. I'm actually in the congressional record. So these are things that I have done. What other YouTuber can tell you that he's read in the congressional record? What other YouTuber can tell you he made the Guinness Book of World Records? Me. But yeah, as a YouTuber, I'm not doing so darn well. My YouTube views are tiny. I guess I suck at YouTubing. This must be the one thing I'm worst at, and yet I do it more than anything, probably. So maybe I need to re-examine my head or something. So if it sounds like I'm bragging, it's not too much, because I really suck at getting across on this platform. I'm apparently terrible at it, probably because I've been really searching for why, and I think it's just because I've put out too much truth. Anyway, all that said, there's a lot to bring out here, a lot to bring out here. So I'm trying to keep you guys aware of what's to be done. And I live and lead by example. My example is that I bugged out. My example is I was always prepping. I was prepping before I ever started YouTubing. I prepped for a long time. And, I learned a lot of lessons along the way. So, Stray Kitten, Wormy, you mean the suit, not CEO. What was Wormy? So the guy who was on Martyr Marvels. Well, no, I wasn't really talking about him now, but yeah, he definitely is big on self-promotion, is he not? He is big at self-promotion. For whatever it's worth. Hey, he's got his style, I got mine. So I'm not here to try to throw rocks, but our styles don't exactly align. Let's put it that way. Anyway, for all that, uh, hey, I've been on C-SPAN. Do I show you videos of my C-SPAN video every time I do a video? No. No, I don't. So that's a big difference. Uh, Maybe I would do better if I did. Maybe I should. Maybe that's a secret to doing better on the platform. I don't know. I've got a lot of humility, believe it or not, because I've ate tons of humble pie in my life. And every time I thought, hey, I'm doing great. This is blah, 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 the good Lord in heaven thinks I need a good dose of humble pie, and he serves it in ample proportions. Ample proportions. I've had my hind end kicked quite a few times. And it's a lesson to stay humble. And I think I'm humble, even though I do tell you that, I do some things, I say some things, and, refute that. I mean, show me I'm not wrong. I'm just wondering how come I'm not getting more views. But anyway, so uh, Arnold, I never did the things he accused me of. He said I took him out as a mod. He's still a mod on my channel. He just don't know it. Anyway, he just don't know it. No, I said I might take him out because he was attacking one of my other mods. My, he was attacking New Days, the mod who's done the most to promote this channel. So, and he thought New Days was a guy. And anyway, whatever. That's water under the bridge. I'm not trying to make much out of that. I chose to let that dog lie and let him say all he wanted to, and I tried to stay out of that. I tried to stay above it. See, the one key difference is I believe in freedom of speech. You can come here and disagree with me. I'm okay with that. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't believe in freedom of speech because I am the president of Freedom Restoration Foundation. So, for that reason, you guys are free to come in here and disagree with me. But all I ask is that you be respectful. And we do have people come in here and disagree with me. And they may disagree quite often. And one of them keeps coming back. I kind of appreciate that, if you're a regular watcher and subscriber to my channel, I appreciate it. And if you disagree with me, if you post stuff that disagrees with me, I can actually appreciate that. I don't mind dialogue. Things can be debated. It's how you work out differences in the world. That's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Look where it got him. But I do believe in free and open dialogue. I just ask that you be respectful and you don't curse. If you come in this channel cursing, my mods will take care of you. If you're not respectful, they'll take care of you too. I've got some of the best mods in the world out here because at one time there was armies of trolls trying to hit my channel, and my mods snapped them away so fast they just gave up on it. They actually gave up on it. So I do believe in freedom of speech. That is, I do believe in freedoms overall. And that is one of my key tenets. And that's what we need to preserve in this country and in this world. And we need to spread the message for why freedom is important. Unfortunately, a lot of the young people today have got the notion that freedom isn't important. Well, look at the people in Iran. If you don't know how important freedom is, Look how many of them sacrificed their lives protesting in the streets. Why? Because they want freedom. See, we have the luxury of having had freedom so long, we forget why it's valuable. We forget why our founding fathers fought for it. We forget the hard lessons, why people would risk their lives, their property, their fortune, even their reputations fighting for freedom. If you don't have freedom, you don't have anything but a jackboot on your neck. You just, you know, people that live in repressed societies do not like it. And yet we have a growing, hey, Joseph Grover, yeah, we're up early, amen. We have a growing cult in the youth that believe that freedom of speech is heinous because it might hurt somebody's feelings. The sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Remember we used to say that when we were young? Well, now, break my bones, it's the words that will hurt me. You know, oh, so what? You broke my bone. That's nothing but the words. They hurt me. Oh my gosh, I can't stand the words. It's because their precepts and their worldview is so tightly wound up that anything that challenges just upsets them. It lights their candle. They go off like a little bomb. That's the woke agenda. The woke agenda, the woke is a joke. Go woke and go broke. You know, and it's sad what got them in this state, but it had a lot to do with our decrepit public education system and our colleges, particularly our universities, because they made a plan in Cloward and Piven to take over our universities, and they did. And China went in with their whatever the institute was that they set up, Confucius Institute or whatever it was, and they infiltrated our universities everywhere and put a lot of money into them. And most of our professors were already left leaning, and so they just insinuated that and used that to their advantage, and it poisoned the minds of our youth. The only way to detoxify the minds of our youth is to reach out to them and get them to see the light. You can't beat them over the head with it because their shields will go up. They won't listen. But you just got to slowly creep in and throw little elements, little truth bombs into them and little nuggets to get them thinking for themselves and then pull them around. I mean, we've all got youth around us. We need to work on it. It's like dropping pebbles in a pool. When you drop a pebble in the pool, ripples spread out. And that's what we need to do. We need to talk to these young people. We need to engage with them. I have put out a number of videos on this channel talking about why freedom matters, why socialism is doomed to fail, and communism is horrible. Communism, Nazism, they have got it in their heads that freedom is Nazism. And then they run around like a bunch of brown shirts. Jeez, it's scary. It's scary. But it can be turned around, but it's not going to happen overnight. But, hopefully you would hope that someone would see the failings of certain blue states like California and be able to think better. A lot of people are fleeing California. It may be the ones that are more minded toward conservatism, more minded toward love of freedom. Unfortunately, a lot of them export, they don't get it. They leave the state because it's dead, because it's got all kind of problems, but then they transplant those problems wherever they go. They take that philosophy with them. That's the scary thing. And so they start poisoning the pools and yonder places all over the country. So we've got to really get to the root cause. Isms cause schisms. Exactly, just Mike. Isms cause schisms. So these isms are something we've got to be very aware of. There's something that we have to combat. Like I said, Iran is just a piece of this puzzle. The people there want freedom. They're willing to protest and lose their lives protesting for freedom. But when we didn't come in there to help them after so many days, especially when Trump told them to protest, and then he said we were coming to help you and didn't. And that is a shortfall in what Trump was putting out there. The Ayatollahs now blaming him for all the lost lives. Never mind, they pulled the triggers. All the trigger pulling was commanded by the Ayatollah. But from the perspective of the Ayatollahs, that's something I hadn't brought out to you guys, or at least what they use as a crux to justify what they do. The Ayatollah is God's representative, Allah's representative on earth, and therefore, if you disagree with him or don't follow his edicts, then you are against God and against heaven, and therefore it's the righteous thing to eliminate you. And that's how they motivate their troops to do what they do, especially the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. But another problem is that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps embedded themselves in the economy of the country. They basically set themselves up to run everything there. And that's why the whole place will have to fall just to cleanse those guys out. So, or they're going to transition to something else. Now, the Ayatollah Khomeini, Ayatollah Khamenei, my understanding is a K and his name is silent. Khamenei is 86 years old. His days are numbered. What's going to happen when he passes? He wanted to set his son up as his predecessor. He claimed he was against monarchies. So, will they be able to hold power? Will the whole thing crumble when he passes? Will it crumble before then? The country's a wreck right now. The country would have been a wreck even without the 12-day war because we're having a severe drought. The economy is not doing well. China's been propping it up, and China would probably infuse more cash to try to prop this up because they really need Iran. Russia needs Iran. Russia is dependent on all these drones that they get from Iran. So both Russia and China would like to see Iran continue in its current and present form. Now, that is a long bet that they probably will lose over time. The question is how long? Morality is degraded so bad that everyone knew what is wrong was challenged by people, but now people have lost the high moral standards. Yes, they have. Uh, why would my car insurance cost less? Why would my car insurance cost less if I was on EBT snaps? How does that improve my insurability? Does it? I don't know. I've never been on EBT or SNAP, so I don't know. Do you get lower car insurance if you are? That's a good question. Now, what's that have to do with it? I don't know. If yours is lower, somebody else's is higher, right? So, Broken Fish, I agree with you. Teachers are the problem. My son had a teacher not tell the truth in class, and my son was in and studied the subject. They lost interest in that class because of the lies. Well, you can go back and study historical history and find out that the truth isn't what they put out. They put out a worldview. And see, that's it. Everybody's got a worldview. And I did a video on rose colored glasses back years ago, talking about worldviews. It's a lesson I learned really from a black drill sergeant when I was in primary leadership course in Alaska. I went down to Richardson, what then was an Army base. Now it's a joint base with Austin Air Force Base. And I took my primary leadership class there. And Sergeant Spivey was his name. He was a brilliant guy. He was black sergeant, drill sergeant, but he was brilliant. And he really was a guy that tuned me in on worldviews and how they operate. Now, I've seen some other stuff on it since, but he was really the best at it. And, we all acquire a worldview. And the problem is we tend to take in information and we interpret the information we take in according to the worldview we have. So it tends to be self-reinforcing. And so if you want to change somebody's worldview, you need to kind of come in under the radar and talk to them and get them to see certain truths and communicate those things. And it may take some dialogue with them to get them to understand it, but then create a few aha moments with them. And over time, you might shatter their worldview. I used to like to tease a lot of my friends from up north and other regions I'd go to. I'd talk about how happy I was to be a Southerner and brag on the South, and they would just have some notion I was a racist because I was a Southerner. And then they discover I was married to a black woman, and her whole worldview, I watched her whole worldview just shatter in front of my face, and I would laugh at them. I would laugh at them. You know, it was like you set them up, then you jerk the rug out from under them. That was always fun to do. You know, just watch people. They wouldn't know how to react. They go, huh, 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 huh. Yeah, does not compute. Does not compute. Meet, 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 meet. So it's fun when you get a chance to shatter somebody's worldview. And so, dude, the South isn't what you think. Your preconceptions are misplaced. Anyway, all that aside, the truth of the matter is that uh, we've got to you got to find a way to get into these people, talk to them, get them to realize certain little pieces. You know, a worldview is built on axioms. Axioms are things that you take to be true. Once you show that some of these axioms are not true, they're the foundations of worldviews. You can break their worldview. And and that's where you just kind of get talking to them, talk about various little things, get them to see a particular thing in a certain light. The failings of socialism around the world, for some reason, they're immune to that. It hasn't crossed their pathway, but it's because they think, well, we can do it this way this time. When it's failed every way it's been done. But they also think of all these injustices that are in our society today, and a lot of that is crap that was put in their head by the school systems. America is not a perfect society. We've had our downsides, but if you, on the large, if you look at it compared to the rest of the world, we've done pretty darn good, actually. We've done a lot of things that weren't good, but a lot of that was done by the deep state, especially since World War II. Our founding fathers didn't want us being involved in foreign affairs, and that was a wise thing. Live and let live. Not all will agree with how I do, but that's not why we're here. There you go, just Mike. So um, we've got a lot of work to do here in this country. We've got a lot of work to do. I think we can turn some of these people around. Believe it or not, I think we can. And sometimes it happens with our own kids. They go to, they think like us until they go to college. And it's one of the problems with the public school system where everybody's required to put their kids through the public schools, is that they take the kids away from the families. And families nowadays, to make ends meet, wind up working two jobs. But some of these things under the title of ends meet, we're really putting our priorities in the wrong place. We think we got to have this, you got to have that, you got to have this, we got to buy that new car, we got to have this house, we got to keep up with the Joneses, we got to have the boat, we got to go and make it. Your whole life, you go into debt, you become a debt slave, you become a slave to the system. And so both parents work, nobody's at home raising the kids. We don't have extended families anymore. So the kids are raised pretty much by each other in the state. They grow up like feral children. We need to return to the way things were before. I went out and I interviewed the DeVace family in Pasadena, California. And they were an amazing family in that, I don't know how they lean politically, but, uh-oh. What happened here? Did I get knocked out? Did I get knocked out? Am I still alive? Don't look like it. What's happened here? Let's try this again. Still alive? Okay, you're hearing me. Okay, good. My YouTube link here is gone. Let me try to refresh it. Okay. All right, good, good, good. And we had a glitch here. The gremlins in the system, they don't like what I'm saying. They don't like it. They're trying to shut me up. Anyway, sometimes there are glitches. So that's good. So kind of lost my train of thought there. Basically, we've got to get to these young people. We've got to talk to them. We've got to countervail against the propaganda they're being shoveled. But where I was going is that, these kids do a lot of things we used to wouldn't do. And a lot of it's because we had extended families. One of the problems, I was talking about the DeVase family. They live simple. They're a family, we're a family of 4 adults. The dad died. My first time I met him, the dad was there. And when I went to interview him, the dad had passed away. I've been out there to see him twice. They're a family of now 3 adults. It's the 3 kids. They live and work off of 1/10 of an acre. Off of 1/10 of an acre, they produce all their food except grain products. Grain's pretty cheap. They sell what they grow. They eat and sell from 1/10 of an acre and produce enough income to support them and to buy the grain products that they may need. But they live off their little backyard homestead in the city of Pasadena, California, off 1/10 of an acre. Now, part of that is they don't keep up with the Joneses. They live simple lives and they're content. What impressed me about this family was they're one of the most content, well-adjusted families I've ever met since I grew up. I grew up around a lot of simple farm families that were content with what they had. They were content with what they could produce from their farms. They were content living that way. They didn't have great luxuries. They didn't have brand new cars. They didn't have ginormous mansion houses. But they were a lot happier than the people I've known that live in such places. Now, believe you me, I'm an engineer and I've lived and worked with tons of people that are in that rat race that have all those trappings. And they're in the rat race. And so I just got to tell you that they can't compete on the happiness index with the DeVase family. Those guys and ladies, there's one son now left and 2 ladies there. They're very happy, very content. And that says a lot. I live in a tiny home here. And I'm content knowing I don't have mortgage payments. I no longer have a mortgage payment. I don't even pay insurance on my property. Now, that is some risk if I'm not even sure I can insure this house, to be honest. But, and I do have some investment in it. But, if I had to, I could live in my vans again. If this place should burn down, I got the van I can live in. I do, Stray Kitten. I produced 2 videos with them. It may be in my gardening sector. I don't know. It's if you'll have to do this from the computer. You can't do it from the phone. But if you go to my channel and click on videos, there's a little hourglass for searching. Now, if you use the YouTube hourglass higher up, you're not going to get these videos. But if you go in, and you can't do this on the phone, because if you try it on the phone, you're going to get everything on YouTube. But if you go into my channel, go under videos, and click on that hourglass, put in DeVase, DERVASE, I think, or a search on 1/10 of an acre. Now, I've talked about living on 1/10 of an acre in a few other videos because I was inspired by them. And my universal habitat is really based on that. It's 1/10 of an acre. So do go in and you can find those videos. They're not had a lot of views, unfortunately. So go in and look at those videos if you can find them. Yeah, I've got like 16, almost 1,700 videos on my channel. And most of them are news videos. And that's why I say I'm only going to start some other channels where I cover certain specific topics that are loaded with information. It's just too hard to find on this channel now. But you can find them if you know how to search for them. In fact, let's do it. I'm going to share my video here. Hang on. I'm going to look for them. I'll show them to you. Give me a minute to pull this stuff up. I'll show you how to search my channel. So I'm going to do share. Ding, 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 ding. I wasn't going to show websites tonight, but we'll do it for this purpose. Because this is really important to understand this stuff. All right, so here's my channel. Now, this is how it shows up on the computer. Now, you can click videos up here, which is the best way to do it, really. Just click it up here. And then this you can see lives like this session are separate. Videos and lives and shorts are all separate. Posts are separate. So yeah, you can see this video here got 19 over 19,000 views, and yet it didn't really earn that much. Is it never like it should have? Probably because they weren't showing everybody ads, which is unfortunate considering the video it was long enough for them to show ads. They didn't show ads to some people. That's been reported to me. But this is the video I was mentioning that is a prelude to my Greenland video. So you'll want to watch this one. But now under latest or videos, whatever, or under videos, just hit the search bar right here. If you hit the search bar above, it won't give you the same thing. Right here, let's look on 10th of an acre. Let's put in the number and see what it does. Not the 10th of an ACRE. And I may put in the word instead of the number. Let's see what that gets us. There you are, right off the bat. This video right here is one of them. This is part two. Where's part one? There's part one right there. Grow your food. Let's see. I might put this in the chat room. Share, copy. I'm going to come back over here and put this in the chat room. It's a two-part. This is where I was interviewing them in their garage. And then this is where we walked around. I wasn't all that good at doing camera. This is 6 years ago, guys. 6 years ago. I wasn't all that good at doing camera then. Now let's see if I can come over to our live. Where's our live at? Here we are. We'll add this one to the chat. Bing. The most important thing is knowing how to search. You can't do this from a phone. You cannot do this from a phone. I'm going to come over here and click on this one. Share. And I'm going to copy the URL again. Well, did it copy? What's going on here? Hit copy, but it's still there. I got another glitch affecting me here. There's another way to do this. Control C. Highlight it and do Control C. Now, hopefully it'll come over here and show you the other one. Let's hope this is the part two one. Yeah, it does look different than the one I just pasted in, so apparently I got it. There are other videos I cover here. This is one that I did with Jason Avers, talking about feeding your family on 1/10 of an acre. So there's more than one way to do this. There's the way they do it, and we talk about a different way to do it here. And that's some of the sweet potatoes I grew. That's my foot. These sweet potatoes are bigger than my foot. That's sweet potatoes I grew in worm castings. So this is what you can do on worm farm on 1/10 of an acre. Anyway, private property. This is one of the kind of videos I was talking about. Private property. Where's that mask at? I carved that when I was on a rifle range at Fort Bragg. Big slab of pine bark. Let's see. Here's one you might want to watch. Food 9/11. And I kind of detail it all in this video too. Share. Copy. Let's see if that one comes in here. That's not the DeVase family. It's just a different video along those lines. Can you explain what Buckeye Jim is talking about? And see somebody up above. I want to go through the chat a little bit more in a little bit. We've been on over an hour now. So these are all videos that are very important. Oh, what I just did. Blew myself out of the screen there. Hang on. Bringing your food prices. So what happens if I put in the word 10 instead of the number 10? Try that. Probably should have did. Oh, you get some of the same stuff. This is where I was building my tiny home. This was over a year ago. Mm. No, yo, hose. See all these hoes I'm showing here? I got tool advice videos on here. That's what that is. Seeds are worth more than gold. Oh yeah, 15th dollars an hour minimum wage. I was talking about the impact of minimum wages and the recent. I've also talked about the $20 minimum wage that California put in. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's not going to affect anything." Well, it does, and it did. They got McDonald's shutting down in LA now. People say, "Oh, no, that's not true, Greg." Well, it's already happened. What I talked about in that video has already happened. It's already happened. Anyway, so that's some ideas for you there. That's some ideas for you. Uh, I don't know my little shorts. Haven't done many shorts on this channel. I've done a few on my done a few shorts on my Swivelhead News channel. Let's do something else. Here's something you really ought to see. If you haven't seen it, watch this. Universal habitat. I did several videos on universal habitats. Oh yeah, by the way, Elizabeth Cooper, I did this video. She's having severe health problems. Here's one I did with educational eco communities with Rainbow Food Rocks. Some of you may know Gail. I won't say her last name. She's real private. I did one with Curtis Stone. Look at this. Freedom to Aspire. That's the Carter Peanut in Plains, Georgia. Earthbag Home in Arizona with Jim and Jess. Hey, they got a good channel. They're homesteaders. If you haven't ever seen their channel, I give a shout out to them while we're at it. So I need to start doing interviews again. Check out the Universal Habitat video. This is the one of the best ones on it. Let's share this, do a copy. I'm gonna put that in our chat notes here. And let's say bing, 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 bing. All right, I'm gonna stop the share. Hello, hello. All right, so the news boils down to this. Iran is a quagmire. It's a place that's a very strategic in terms of this dynamic between China and world authoritarianism and this new way of civilization of states that we may be heading toward. Yeah, watch those videos. Watch those videos. Those are really good videos, guys. I highly encourage you to watch them. I've showed you how to search for them because I'm probably just going to throw some standard stock stuff up when I post the video tonight. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here. I got to go in a little bit, guys. And we've been on, how long have we been on? With the screen so I can see how long we've actually been on tonight. I need to keep these things down to, I need to start keeping them down to an hour if I can. We've already been on 82 minutes. So, Ellen Meyer Jensen, search for Greg's microgreens. Oh, yeah, I've got tons of videos of microgreens. I think I've got a microgreen playlist. Uh, so these are things to look for. Hello, fam at work in Loveland County. Okay, very good. Stephen Burns touched on it yesterday. It's worth the drive for neutron star energetic analysis. Whoa, what are we talking about, Buckeye? What are we talking about there? Let's see if I can find your other post. So somebody asked what radio signal coming off Signet X3 throwing radio waves similar to Wi-Fi. What is that? What are you talking about, Buckeye? Buckeye Jim? They grow weed? No, they grow vegetables. They make their money selling vegetables, not weed. So yikes, because I've ended my chat. I don't have everything that showed up in here showing up because after my glitch. So I can see the emails back to when that glitch occurred, apparently. So sorry about that. I missed some of the I said email, some of the chat. I got a couple of neighbors that terrify me if there's a grid down. Well, I did a video on that too with prepper from back in Alabama, talking about, there are certain neighbors you got to watch out for. There's certain people in your community. Um, so I don't know I wonder if I can find that one. How would that video be cast? Let me see if I can find it. I don't even remember what that one was titled, but we did a video that specifically talked about that. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hang on, let me show you this video. Give me a second. I got a video that covers that specifically. Hang on here. Give me a second. I got to hit share screen again. Share screen, bada bing, bada bang. Where's it at? La-di-da-di. Here we are. Now let's go back over. I got to reduce the size of the screen so my Zoom don't fight me. All right, preparedness groups. The one you need to know now with Mike of NARPNet. NARPNet. That's a prepper group in North Alabama that I used to speak to quite regularly when I was there. So in this video, it says, meet Billy Ray, a prime example of why you need a mutual assurance group. Billy Ray. So I am going to. Billy Ray was that bad neighbor. Guys, I got tons of videos on here. Tons of videos. Let me see what that looks like again when I hit the share, copy. Got the word TED in it. So I'll make sure I get the right one here. I'm going to put that in here. I just searched on Mike and it came up. There, I just included that in the chat. So that is, if you got some scary neighbors, we all do. They're everywhere. This reinforces why we need mutual assurance groups, survival tribes. Conversation about watching the games of Risk, Monopoly, Poker, Club, Chess, all simultaneously. Yeah, the world's getting crazy in a hurry. So I'll through and see what else I can find here in the chat. Let's see. Shouldn't my brother lives in Alaska and says it's a full-time job just living there. Alaska is tough. It is tough. Solar freezer would be a nice. Yeah, you have that most of the year up there. Greenland and Canada make treasures out of to pay off the national debt. Now Berlin's want to enroll and to separate from Canada. Okay, Arna. You're great. It's the people that are broken. There you go. I don't know how you pronounce AOE Life 69. We all live in peace between us and more. Yeah. Let's see. Stop being for views, Greg. They're for the reason you started doing, have fun, and the numbers will come. That used to be easier than it is now. We got so much AI we compete with. Live and let live. Okay. Elmar Jensen, good to see you. ICLCJ court deposed Trump. Look that up, see what it means. I don't know, Alan Meyer. That's interesting. You found it using your phone? I can't search for things like that on my phone. Doesn't let me do that kind of search. I've tried it many times. 83 minutes. Yeah, we got to go on a little bit. We're going to do the egg guess in a minute. Hold your guesses until we're ready to go. But until I say the word go. But prior to that, everybody tell us where you're from. And we'll do the egg guess and then we'll go on. Everybody tell us where you're from. Where's everybody from? Tell me where y'all from. Because just late hour, we get a lot of people from Europe and down under. Although I don't see. Oh, I'm still sharing. Look what happens when I share. You get this infinite view. I stopped to share. That's funny. Everybody tell us where you're from. Yikes, that's funny. Alabama. Hey, Alabama. Carol. Carol, do you know Mike? That'll tell me if you're a certain Carol I know. Carol, do you know the Mike that I just showed? Tennessee. Scottish Highlands. Yes, we got Scotland in your house. Good. That's some ancestors that lived there once upon a time. Greg's fingers are as big as bananas. Oh, Lord. Calgary, Alberta, the Saxon Riverstone. Well, we got at least two Albertans in the house tonight. Utah, raised in Idaho and Montana. Okay, Linda Moses. Utah was just north of me. I used to go there a lot for one of my previous jobs. Western Alberta, the land of IU football champs. Okay, Wormy. Captain Trips. I enjoy every early morning chats. Been watching it for years from Florida. Well, thank you. Okay, Carol, you're not the other Carol I was thinking about. Southern Arkansas. Denmark National Park. All right. Denmark's in the house. I figured, I know you're from Denmark or over in the Nordic countries. And apparently my bloodlines are at least a little bit more than half Nordic. Does it show? Apparently radio pulses coming off Cygnus X3, Ohio River Valley. Well, is this something? All right. When you start talking Cygnus, it almost sounds like a star. But I don't think we're going to get very big pulses from a star. So is there a transmitter antenna you're talking about, Buckeye? What are we talking about there? The Ohio River Valley. All right, very good. Are you on the north or south side of the Ohio River Valley? All righty. Time for the egg guess. How many eggs did I harvest today from my 12 hens? Go. Guess. First guess wins. How many eggs did I harvest today from my hens? Got them right here. Today's harvest is upon me. Time for everybody to guess. We're about to wrap it up here. All right. Carol guessed 6. Keep guessing. 4. Arnold, you got it. Bingo. 48 says there. All right. The first one to say 4 was Arnold. Alan Meyer Jensen got the right number, but the first was indeed Arnold. Broken Fish got the right number, but Arnold, you guessed it first. Buckeye, okay, on the north side, you guessed 4. Arnold got it. Arnold wins the guess tonight. Here they are. Let's see. Make sure I can see them on. Go back to my screen here. Here they are. These are the eggs I harvested today. These are all brown eggs. These mostly come, that means they come from my Dominecker hens. I've got 8 Dominecker hens. I got a Leghorn and 3 Easter eggers. The Easter eggers lay multicolored eggs. The Leghorn would lay a white egg. She hasn't laid many eggs lately, and the Easter eggers have kind of fallen off laying. But the Domineckers, they're still laying eggs. Not one a day. This is a season year, and it's cold weather. The hens are known not to be laying. A lot of people aren't getting any eggs, and a lot of people like me are getting reduced numbers. But I'm told that in the summer, spring, summer, fall, these chickens will be laying probably. The guy got them from me said he got 12 to 14 eggs a day. So we'll see if the egg count jumps up when we're in the prime egg laying season. So, all right. There's only one digit off, so close. There you go, straight in. All righty. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Super Chatters. Thank you for the Super Chat, Christopher Napier. I appreciate that. Hope you're still in the house. And before I go, I'm going to check my phone to see if anybody maybe has sent me a donation through my website. I like to give credit. The credit's due. So we'll check that. Give me a second here. Take a look. My email. I got an email from Brian Perendi yesterday. That's all I'm seeing from yesterday email. Brian is a good friend of the channel. So, well, Carol, good to see somebody from Alabama in here. I usually have more people from Alabama, but it is really early there. It's 4 a.m. So people in Alabama will start waking up a little bit. Maybe some of them watch this video. I do have a lot of friends in Alabama. I usually get a lot of people from Arizona in here too. I don't see them tonight in the chat room, but it's because we're so late and it's a weekend. So, again, thank you, Christopher Napier, for the super chat. I want to thank you, mods, for keeping the channel straight, clean, and I want to thank everyone for watching. So, with that, I am going to say to one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are, because a lot of you guys are with sun shining right now. And thank you all for watching. With that, end with ho, ho, ho. Greg out.